Well, good Thursday evening to you. Trucker Todd here, and time for our first ever In Case You Missed It. So, I want to explain to you what this is, what it's going to be. And first of all, before we do, I apologize. I'm a few minutes late getting on. It's been a crazy day. I had some car issues, and it kind of ran me behind. But what's been going on is lately I've been doing a Tuesday night broadcast, and most weeks we're going to have guests on that. Some weeks it's going to be me just talking to you guys. But Wednesday nights I've been going on Truckers Coach TV, and then on Thursday nights I've been rebroadcasting that on my channel. Now, as I proved today, being super busy, I'm sure all of you guys are super busy too, and that's why I appreciate you guys watching my channel. But I realize as much as you guys watch and as devoted as you guys are, that it's possible from time to time you're going to miss different broadcasts. And so on Thursday, what we're going to do is instead of me rebroadcasting Jason's video on my channel, we're going to do In Case You Missed It. And I'm going to kind of answer questions about stuff that's happened during the week, maybe some things you wanted to know and I didn't get a chance to answer. Maybe something you asked me in the comments of one of my videos and I missed it or something like that. And so hopefully we can get a lot of good information out. There was a ton of stuff that happened this week. And I know a lot of people are curious about last night's live. Some people thought that it ended pretty contentiously between me and Jason. They're wondering if there's hard feelings, if I'll be on his show again, things like that. And I'm going to make sure and answer those things for you guys tonight. So let's jump right into things that I've covered on other shows, but I'm sure that there's still some that's missed it, that's still curious. The national average for fuel was 452.4. And last week it was 460.4. Well, I may have that backwards. Let me double check that real quick. I don't want to give you guys bad information. And, well, you know what? I know another way we can do this that's a lot quicker. I've got the correct information on the banner right there. And as I thought, I said it the exact opposite. Last week it was 452.4. This week it was 460.4 per gallon. That's the national average. Fuel surcharge last week was 54.6 cents per mile. This week it's 56.1. And the West Coast fuel surcharge remains at 8 cents a mile. And it's been that way for a while. And so we had a lot of things we went over this week. We had I told you guys about the Blitz, focusing on brakes this year between May 16th and 18th. We talked about autonomous trucks. Some big name YouTubers was in Phoenix this week. Asian My Mother Trucker went to Knight headquarters and spoke with the CEO of Knight Swift. And then the truckers coach, Jason Pote, whose channel I was on last night, went to Phoenix to the Swift terminal and spoke with a lot of people there. And so we can sure talk about those things if you want to. One thing I haven't mentioned prior to now, I do have a TikTok channel. Just look for Trucker Todd on TikTok. Admittedly, there's not a lot of content on there. Actually, a driver advisory board that I sit on with another company has been wanting me to do a TikTok for a while. And even now, I've got it started. It's been up about a month. I've only rebroadcast or reposted a few videos on there. Haven't put any original content on there yet. Still trying to figure out what direction to take that channel. And but you want to get there and check that out. It'll be some content that we don't put anywhere else, even on my Instagram or my Facebook or anything. So just a little more. It's mostly going to be humorous stuff when I can find stuff, maybe some informational stuff when I come across it. Load board update. We've done that this week also. They weren't able to add a lot of people this week because one of the IT guys was on vacation. They also only added one person this week, which happened to be the truckers coach, Jason Pote, and they are going to start adding 10 people a week. You can contact your OOC, one of the owner-operator planners, or Rapid Response if you would like to be added to that list. It's a waiting list. It's not going to be instant, and stomping your feet and getting mad doesn't get you on it any quicker. Just getting on the list and being patient is the fastest way to get on it. We also had a video earlier this week that a lot of people, I got a lot of compliments about the 4 pros and cons of doing a lease purchase. And that was a really good, fair article. You know, there's a lot of articles that come out that go, lease purchases are bad unless you do it with our company and then they're good. Or there's articles that come out that go, all lease purchases are bad, but you should come to work at our company because we have a really good company driver program. And this one I felt like really shot it straight down the middle and gave a lot of good information. Upcoming guests, we've got some big stuff coming up, folks, on the Tuesday shows. And I don't like to say who they are prior to them coming on because a lot of people try to knock me off when I do that and try to get them to come on their show before mine or something like that. And so I am holding off on some of that just until maybe the day before. I'll do a community post or something and tell you about people that are coming on. And if you've got somebody you would like to see on the show on Tuesday nights, look in the ticker, get my email, shoot me an email. Make sure you put the 806 on the end of it, because if you leave the 806 off, it goes to another guy. And he emailed me and said he was getting a lot of emails that he didn't have a clue what they were talking about. So make sure you're emailing me, and I'll get back to you as quick as I can, or leave a comment here and we'll address it just as quick as we can. Let's see, what else? Let's talk about some of the other stories this week. We talked about 3 people being hurt when there was some tires that come off of a truck on the interstate. And we talked about, that was in Kansas City, Kansas, talked about a 6-vehicle incident. Well, that was that same one. We talked about, we've just had all kinds of stuff this week. I'm not sure what story stuck out for you guys or what y'all want to talk about. We can sure go into it tonight. We talked about a dump truck ignoring a road closure and falling in a sinkhole. The authorities actually found the barricade under his dump truck. And we talked about a truck driver jackknifing and being charged with 2 counts of manslaughter. The general agreement and consensus in the group was that the driver probably shouldn't have been charged for manslaughter, but he definitely should be punished. And his bond was at $68,000. But I don't want to get too deep in all of that. What I want to do is go into the comments. And since this is in case you missed it, I want to answer any questions that you guys might have. Let's go up to the top. Our view count is still a little low, so I'm sure people are doing other things. But we always have a lot of people that watch us after the show goes off the air. And if you're one of these people that's watching the rebroadcast, if you need to email me, like I say, the ticker information's there, or if you leave a comment, it'll still let you leave a comment on here. I try to respond to everybody just as quick as I can. Let's go back and say hello to some people before we jump right in. Ryan Harris says, I'm here. And let's see if I can do like I did last night and get some of these comments to put up. JF Trucker, yo. Hey, JF. We've got one that already needs to go. Evidently, my moderators aren't here yet. That's okay. We've been having some problems lately. We may have to add a few more moderators between long. Let's see. Just picked up my truck lease purchase today. Good deal, Marquez. Stay in touch with us. Let us know how that's going. Feel free to email me if you're having any problems, questions, or concerns, and I'll try my best to help you out. Um, Sometimes I get pretty busy, so you may have to leave me a voicemail, but I'll always call you back and try to help you out if you have any questions. The first 60 days is always the toughest, and the most frustrating thing to me is when I find out that somebody has quit without contacting me, because I always want to try to fix any problems. And sometimes guys just get mad and quit without even giving me a chance to try to help them. The trucking life, I just noticed there are a select few of YouTubers that breed drama, or it finds them. I don't know, but I'm a fan of both of y'all. You know, I would say once I hit 4,000 subscribers, that people I'd never even heard of come out of the woodwork to criticize me, make fun of me. It's always been there to a degree. Somebody will make fun of the way I talk, or something like that, and I don't let it bother me. This channel was set up to help people, and I've got a whole army of people that can tell you that I've helped them or they've helped me, and so I'm going to keep putting out positive stuff, and I'm going to ignore that background noise from them as much as possible. And we're going to get into a little bit of it tonight. I received several phone calls after the show last night that people thought me and Trucker's Coach had just had an all out war, and I want to tell you some behind the scenes stuff that maybe is not public knowledge, that might set everybody's mind at ease. But we're definitely going to get into that when I get caught up on the comments. Let's see. Ryan Harris says, I pick up my lease purchase truck in South Carolina on Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm going to assume that you're probably getting that in Greer. And if you're in there, tell Michelle that Trucker Todd said hi. I've only been able to go over there once, and I stayed for, I think, 4 or 5 days, but I would sure like to make it out that way again. I met a lot of viewers and things like that out there, and a lot of office staff. And it's that terminal is deceptive, and I'll tell you why. When you look at the outside building, you go, man, this place is small. But if you can ever get a tour of it, that building is huge. And the terminal itself is the same way. You don't think it's that big, but then you have to keep in mind that the body shop is about a mile away, and it's a whole separate entity. So if you combine the two, it's really big. And that body shop, I've personally met the manager over there, and he's a great guy. If your truck needs anything and you can make it to Greer, South Carolina, that's definitely the body shop that I would take it to. I've also had dealings with the one in Phoenix, and they're extremely busy, but they're also really, really good. JF Trucker says he is driving now. Be careful out there. I would encourage you to put the phone where you can't view it, but you can still listen. And then that way, if you get pulled over or something, you're not in any trouble. But either way, I'm glad you're here. I hope you're not in a bad weather location, and I hope you're careful. Marquez Robinson says he's picking his up in Lancaster, Texas. That's not my home terminal. Oklahoma City's my home terminal, but I spend a lot of time in Lancaster. That's usually where I go and pick up loads that go to Plainview, which is right here by my house in Lubbock. So I've spent a lot of time in Lancaster, and I really like that terminal. So I think you'll have a good experience there. But I hope you'll stay in touch and let me go. Yeah, that's TikTok no good, spies Chinese. Yeah, I've heard that, and I wasn't real excited to get one. Um, for me, it doesn't really fit my format and what I do. But like I said, that driver advisory board, I think they're going to drop me off the board if I don't create a TikTok. So there is going to be one, and I'm going to do my best to put content on there, but it's never going to overtake everything and be the number one deal. YouTube's always going to be number one, or I say always, in the foreseeable future. Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn are always going to be tied at number 2, and then TikTok will be behind those. But for those of you that like the TikToks, feel free to add me, and I guess you'll see me when I put something up. And if you guys got a direction I could take the TikTok channel, I would appreciate any advice. Or if you've got any guests that you'd like to see me have on Tuesday night, or topics you'd like me to cover in a recorded video, I'd really like to do that. I'll be there chilling. Todd holds it down. Hey, man, I wanted to talk to you, and I didn't know you by email or anything where I could contact you. Last night, one of my moderators pulled one of your comments, and I'm sorry for that. He misread it the first time he read it. I actually liked your comment, and I appreciate you being here, and thank you for the support. And so we'll keep going. S says hi. Marquez Robinson says sure thing. Frank O, he's been with us every night this week, I believe, and we're glad he's here. I'm considering coming to Swift as a contractor, but still have my reservations because I was a company driver for them in 2017. You want to know something funny? The number one thing I say when people tell me that is how long ago it was it? Because the last 3 years, and I probably shouldn't be saying this, this is probably one of those things that'll get me in trouble, but the last 3 years they've made a lot of improvements, and honestly, I believe they might tell you something differently, but if you do a little Googling, you'll find out that there was some lawsuits that took place, and that when Knight merged with Swift, they made a lot of positive changes. And so because of that, I would tell you that Swift is an entirely different company than it was in 2017. They changed a lot more things than just the logo. And so I can totally understand why you're nervous about coming back, but I can promise you it's a different company than it was in 2017. And I can say this too, they're not perfect, but they're much better than you expect from a very large company like this. And I've met a lot of really, really good people here. And that's the honest truth. Do I ever get mad at them? Absolutely. But they're worth taking a second look at. And it's not just me. It's not just because of YouTube. There's a lot of people here right now that are really happy here. I heard them say the other day they have more million-mile drivers than any other company. And I heard them say in one of their videos the other day that they have several drivers with over 4 million safe miles. So there's something about this company that people are staying here, people are liking it here, but especially the last 3 years. And so I would encourage you to give them a second look. Yeah, man, I really am glad you're here in all seriousness. And I hope you'll keep coming back. Truck diver, I like your content. Just wish you hadn't thrown in with Pote. Okay, let's talk about Jason real quick. So here's the deal. And I know Jason would prefer I didn't talk about this, but there's some things that we need to say so that we're all clear. It's true that Jason and I have had some issues in the past. It's true that we're probably never going to be fishing buddies or go on hunting trips together or anything like that. However, people that hate my guts and people that hate his guts really like it when we do videos together. Think of Hannity and Combs, or Skip and Shannon, or whatever combo you want to think of on TV that has opposing views. People like watching me and him debate things that we legitimately disagree on. And he and I both like doing it as long as we can keep it civil. Now, if it gets into a screaming match where we're calling each other names, or we look like a couple of third graders screaming at each other, then nobody likes that. But we're both receiving a lot of positive comments coming out of that video series. And last night we had a really good debate about MRP and straight lease and the pros and cons of each. And honestly, I feel like he made some really good points, and I feel like I made some really good points. And the funny thing is, Swift really appreciates the content we're putting out on there, as long as we keep it civil and, things like that. So we're both, we've discussed it. We're going to continue doing it for as long as people enjoy watching it and as long as we enjoy doing it. But last night when the show was over, people were texting me, "Is that the last time you're going on Coach's show? Are you mad at Coach? Is Coach mad at you?" And the truth is, after the show, he texted me and thanked me and said he thought it was a great show. And I texted him back and told him the positive comments I got. And I even told him, I said, some guys think we're mad at each other. And he's like, why? And I said, well, because we got into a debate, but they don't understand. We're both big enough people that we can disagree and still, come back the next week to do it again. Now, it there's some people, as I said, that they hate me, but they like Jason, or they hate Jason, but they like me. But they like our show because we're honest and we kind of give both points of view. I would say probably 85% of the topics we agree on, but there is a small area where we have opposing opinions, but we're both big enough people that we can hear the other person's point of view. And we're both hoping to persuade each other, I'm sure. And that may never happen, but it's definitely fun to watch. And I can't speak for him, but I personally appreciate all the positive feedback I've received from you guys about doing that. And so let's go to the next one. This Trucking Life, good plan. Thanks for everything you do. I appreciate you guys. You know, this is a two-way street. You guys do a lot for me. Y'all don't realize how many questions y'all answer for me, how much good advice I receive from y'all. This is a two-way street, and I couldn't do none of these things, not one of them, without y'all watching and giving me a thumbs up and sending your comments and, sending the super thanks and all the things you guys do. So, I have to subscribe to this StreamYard and things like that. And I appreciate you guys supporting the channel so I can come on here. You can help me, I can help you, and we can all benefit from it. And I appreciate Jason for having me on his show. And even when we disagree, I've told you guys he's been very cordial to me, very welcoming. In his ticker, he puts my email so you guys can contact me. So I really appreciate that's not common on YouTube. There's a lot of YouTubers that are out for themselves and that wouldn't do those things. And so I definitely appreciate Jason for everything he's done. And Tim and 404 Dave and Lonnie and all of those in there, they've all been great to me. And they're not just doing that when the camera's on. Everybody's been real nice and supportive. So it's not as contentious as everybody thinks it might be. But definitely we're going to have some healthy debates. Let's see. Can you post some settlements to get an idea of the money that can be made at Swift? I actually did that my first 30 days here. The reason I have stopped doing that is because mine are super, super complicated now. I can tell you that you can net about $2,500 a week when really it's between $2,000 and $3,000 a week. A lot of it depends where you run, how you run, things like that. Why don't I post them now? Well, let me tell you. First of all, I went out and got my own insurance, so it's not on the settlement no more. Secondly, I have several different ways I get fuel. Mudflap, my fuel card, my company fuel card, sometimes a personal card. There's so many different ways that I fuel that don't show up on my settlement that honestly, even with the best laid intentions, I could mislead you guys, which, as you know, is my biggest fear, and I don't want to do that. So if I put numbers up, it's going to look better than what it is. And if I misfigure something, it could look less. For example, I put 20 cents a mile in maintenance. I'm only required to put 3 cents a mile. So my checks are a little smaller because I'm putting 20 cents instead of 3 cents. And the way my lease works, I can pull that money out for any reason. It doesn't even have to be for maintenance. So it's kind of like an extra savings account. And so that's why also many of you guys are having your accounting be deducted out of your settlements. I have my own accounting agency that hits my credit card once a week instead of it coming out of my settlements. So it's extremely difficult for me to do that now. It'd be horribly time consuming, and there's always the risk I'd show some personal information like my home address or my social security number or something like that. So for that reason, I've stopped showing settlements. And who knows, we may do, I don't mind doing end of the year thing, but even that's complicated because of, I've got other things going on that make mine inflated. And it's really not as much as it looks. And as I said, I don't want to mislead you guys. B Feline Maximus says, JF, you should go to Swift. And I would agree. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say Swift's for everybody, but everybody watching this broadcast should give them a look. Now, would I like it if you guys contacted Michelle or one of the other recruiters and you told them you'd been watching Trucker Todd and I got a referral bonus? Yes, I'd love that. Am I still going to help you if you don't do that? Yes, I do it every day. So people say, well, what should I do when I call in? You should tell the truth. If my videos influenced you to come here, then you should tell them my videos influenced you to come here. If my videos had nothing to do with you coming here, then don't mention me. I just believe, and I've found this out the last 3 or 4 years, that if you always do the right things, good things seem to come back to you. And so I would encourage each of you to just tell the truth and do the right thing. Craig Davenport, what's going on, Trucker Todd? Not much, sir, just hanging out. What's going on in your world? Are they getting you taken care of? I believe I talked to Craig earlier this week, didn't I? Hey, Todd, what's up? Did you see you? Did I see me? I'm not sure what that means, John. Can you shoot it back to me another way? All right. Do you factor in the IFTA when deciding where to purchase? My feeling is that if you overpay in one state versus miles driven in that state, yeah, I generally tend to agree with you. I just try to buy it the cheapest anywhere I go, but there's obviously some states that I try not to buy fuel in, one of them being Oregon, one of them being California. One of the apps I use, which is called FuelBook, will subtract out IFTA if you want to figure it that way. There's competing theories about how to do that. IFTA's never a big deal. It seems like every time they hit me, it's 20 or 40 bucks. So it's not a huge deal. And so that's kind of how I do it. I've got some things coming in the coming weeks that I can't talk about yet because people will knock me off. But these types of questions we're going to be answering on the Tuesday show in the coming weeks. And then on Thursday, we'll talk about it some more in case you missed it. So everybody here, if you want to help me out, give me a thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed so that you receive notifications when these lives come out and when my recorded videos come out, because I've been running from some of these questions, especially tax questions or if you should get an LLC, things like that. But in the coming weeks, I'm going to have people on that are qualified to answer those questions for you. And I'm going to pick their brain, and then I'm going to scroll through the comments and let you guys pick their brain too. And together, we're going to all learn together. Let's see. Ryan wants to know, are lease purchase required to have camera in the truck? So this is the big kerfuffle that came out of all this. Originally, we found out that beginning January 1st, you've got till April 1st to get it. If you keep Swift's insurance, you are required to get one of 4 cameras they offer. And I can tell you the name of 3 of them. I can't remember the other one. Netrodyne, Smart Drive, and Samsara, and I don't remember the other one. Well, I didn't want to do that because I had a bad experience with forward-facing cameras at DART, being coached, being micromanaged. So I went out and got my own insurance. And I've got a video out how to get the exact same insurance I have. You guys can check that out. And so I'm not required to have a camera, but beginning April 1st, everybody that's under Swift's insurance will have to have some type of forward facing camera approved by their insurance company. Now, I did get the Samsara camera, but it's purely optional, and I got it for the YouTube channel. And the reason is Swift doesn't have access to it. Now, I could email them footage if I had an incident and wanted to show it to them, but I got the camera for YouTube because let's face it, some guys are going to get the Swift insurance because they like having it payroll deducted and things like that. And so I thought, well, for those guys that do have to get it, I want to give them the best option. I looked at all 4 cameras. The Samsara was the least restrictive and what I felt like was the best option. It was also one of the more expensive options. I do believe it was the expensive option. I actually did a video about the 4 cameras as well. And so far, I've been really pleased with the Samsara. I set it with all the coaching things on to where I'd receive notifications just like a safety department would. And I'd spend a week or two trying to violate it. And then I'd spend a week or two trying not to violate it. And then I tried turning off all the coaching things and trying it that way. And I've made a couple of videos about it. And I'm going to do some more videos about it as it gets close to April 1st. And people that have procrastinated get down to the wire. But if you've got to get one, if you're going to keep the Swift insurance, I would recommend the Samsara. Swift is looking at other camera options, and there may be other options that come available. They've got 2 of them that you can pay, I think, $600 or $700 for, and they cover all the monthly fees. That Samsara, I had to pay for 3 years subscription up front, and so it was pretty pricey. It's a little over $1,500 for the camera and 3 years of service, but I'll get a lot of good videos out of it, and it'll help a lot of people. This is another great question. OTR Vic, do you or can you pull night trailers or only Swift trailers? So far, I've only pulled Swift trailers. I have pulled 3 different reefers, and I've also pulled a central refrigerated trailer. I would never say never that you would never pull a night trailer, but for the most part right now, they stay at their terminals, we stay at ours. I have spent the night at one night terminal, so it does happen sometimes. Occasionally you'll see a night trailer at a Swift yard, but that stuff's not really integrated at this point. My all badge doesn't work at their terminals. The one I did stay at, they had a guard shack that let me in. So it's they're still kind of running them like 2 separate companies. But they do share a lot of, especially backhouse things, office things. So it's been really smooth, honestly. I can't believe. I know everybody thinks I'm just saying this, but I really can't believe how much I like it here. Slipdog says he's in the house and enjoys the channel. Well, we enjoy you being here, Slipdog. Thanks for coming in. Let's see here. Have I delivered frozen meat on a flatbed? No, I've never done that, but I've been in weather that was cold enough. I could have done that. I don't know that I've ever heard of that. I think that might be a joke, but no, I've pulled a flatbed way back in the day. I hauled motorcycles and 4-wheelers and stuff like that, but it was for a hot shot company, and they were pretty shady, so I only did it for a few months. Most of my driving, the 25 years, I've pulled a reefer, but the last few years, I've got to where I just hate grocery warehouses with a passion, so I do a dry van. But never say never. Like I said, even in the 7 months I've been at Swift, I've pulled 3 reefers. One of them said central refrigerated on it, so I'm willing to pull anything in the right situations. But let's see who's next. How much do Swift pay beginner drivers on the refrigerated contract with a lease truck? Well, to lease a truck at Swift, you've got to have at least 9 months experience. Now they'll have a discussion with you at 6 or 8 months, but they really like you to have 9 months experience. But I would encourage you to not be in a hurry and get 2 to 5 years. The longer, the better, because there's a lot of things that you're going to learn those first few years that are going to benefit you when you start leasing a truck. And as for the pay, it is on a sliding pay scale, just like dry van, and it pays roughly 3 cents a mile more than what dry van does. But I would encourage you guys to keep in mind on reefer. Reefer loads are typically going to be heavier than dry van loads, and you're typically going to always live load and always live unload. Now, they do have some drop and hook before everybody eats me alive. So, yes, I realize there's going to be times when you drop and hook, but for the dry van side, it's like 85 or 90% of the time, and I bet it's going to be 30 or 40% of the time on the reefer side. So, is there pros and cons to doing reefer? Absolutely. Is there pros and cons to doing dry van? Absolutely. I would say just get in a department that you feel you would enjoy the most and go from there. If you enjoy what you're doing, then it doesn't feel like work and the money comes anyway. So just find something you really enjoy doing and run with it. I'm sorry, but Pote has no credibility in trucking. There's people that say the same thing about me, so I'm not going to comment on him or his experience. I can just tell you that he's been really nice to me on the Wednesdays that I've appeared on his show, and that we're getting a lot of positive feedback from it, and that people enjoy watching it. So they will tell you, and I saw this question come up on one of their lives the other night. They will tell you that they mostly have Freightliner and Kenworth in the MRP, but they will also tell you that they'll try their best to find what you're looking for. I personally haven't seen any Volvos in the MRP program, so they're going to be the unicorn. You're not going to have 24 of them to choose from. But if you really like Volvos and you really like the MRP program, they will do their best to find what you're looking for. And so, again, I would encourage you, their inventory, and I am not even kidding, changes hourly. So they can literally tell you at 1 p.m., we don't have what you're looking for. And 30 minutes later, they can call you back and say, we found it. So I even found out, and I've been telling people, absolutely not. They've got a couple of 10 speeds floating around. So if you still want a manual truck, it's going to be very difficult to find, and I'm not guaranteeing they can find you one, but in some rare cases, they've even found a few older manual transmission trucks. So I would say this, when you call Michelle, be open-minded and think about it, but know that she's been there almost 25 years, I think. She's very knowledgeable. She knows what she's doing. And the reason I work with her, she's a straight shooter. So she's not going to blow smoke at you. If she can find you what you want, she's going to do it. And so just give her a chance is all I can say. Hey, Joe, glad you're here. Yeah, what did I see on that? I believe it was Benjamin Franklin that said he didn't fail 1,000 times inventing a light bulb. He just found 999 ways that didn't work. I would say every one of us has not, I wouldn't call him a failure, but we've all made bad decisions about where to go to work. I found myself doing it. I had about a 3 or 4 year span where what happened is I stayed at a company just a little bit too long, and I got in a financial bind. And so then I got desperate and I started going to the first company that would take me. And when I did that, uh, it turned out to be a crappy company, just like I thought. Well, then I was in a bigger hole, and then I was more panicked, and then I was just digging a hole. And finally, I got to a company, a grocery company, where I was kind of pulling a reefer, and I was home every other night, and I got caught up on things, and I got a little money saved up, and then I could swim again. But uh, you never want to select a company in desperation or under heat. And so I think that's what we all need to be careful of. When one of the first things I check when I'm considering any company is I Google the name of the company with the word safer, SAFER, on the end of it, and I look at that company's credentials, and it'll tell you what they post to the DOT, the annual mileage for the company. You divide that by the number of trucks they got, and you can see the average mileage for each truck. So if they say our trucks average 3,500 miles a week, you can go in there and figure out that no, they really only average about 2,000 miles a week. And if you go down and look at their maintenance stuff and you see that their maintenance score is way above the national average, that's a good indicator that drivers aren't making money there, because the first thing drivers let go when they're having financial problems is maintenance. If you see that their driver scores are low, then they probably are not very strong on safety and let a lot of stuff go. So I look at that stuff. Fatal crashes, if you see a lot of crashes on their safer score, then you know you're not going to get the bypass a lot at scales. You're going to get pulled in, you're going to get looked at. And so looking at a safer score for a company is a good way to gauge what kind of company it is. And that's the information they report to the FMCSA, so that they can't false or bloviate or whatever just to try to get you in the door. Let's see. Hey, Franco, Michelle has the truck list. She can let you know, like Todd says all the time. She is a wealth of information. She has answered any of my questions. She knows what she's talking about. Yeah, and she's actually what they call a head recruiter. So she's not in charge of recruiting, but she's very high up the ladder. And I feel very comfortable that she's going to be able to give you the most accurate and up-to-date information. Now, they have, I believe, 6 recruiters for the lease purchase side, and I've met several of them, and I have confidence in all of them. But Michelle and Ramona are the 2 that I work with the most, and the 2 that I know the most about. Let's see. Joe Adams, it's not that complicated. And so, yeah, I'm not sure what that one is either. I'm assuming he's talking to leasing. And I would say it's not that complicated, but for guys that's never done it before, it can be a little nerve-wracking. And I'd also say there's a lot of guys out there that make it more complicated than what it has to be. Charles Thomas says, over 30,000 subscribers, less than 500 views on his videos. Well, I can't throw any rocks. I've got almost 4,600 subscribers, and we've got 29 here. And while I'm grateful for the 29 that's here, I would love it if all 5,000 could be here. And I know for scheduling reasons, that's not going to happen. My 4,600, usually about 10% will watch every video. So I'll get somewhere between 400 and 500 views. But I do got videos with over 40,000 views. So some of it's topic, some of it's what people have going on in their life. Tuesday, for example, we didn't have a big turnout, but after the video went off, several people told me they were driving in bad weather and they watched the video later, and that's how they got. So it came up after the video went off, and it's fine. I enjoy you guys whenever you can get here. Jody Scott says, codename Narc sent me. Well, either way, I'm glad you're here. Logic Neo said, good stuff, yo. Thanks for being here, Logic. I appreciate you. Brian Walton. Hey, bud. Hey, man, I'm glad you're here too. You get paid by the mile. You get to drive 14 hours a day. Simple math. Um, no, um, we do get paid by the mile on a sliding scale, but you don't get to drive 14 hours a day. You get to drive 11. You get to work 14 hours a day. You can be on duty for 14 hours a day, unless you're intrastate, which means you stay in one state all the time. And then it depends on your state that you live in. And so he's talking about, I guess he's talking about the logbook. Um, it's it's not rocket science, but you'd be surprised how many people get violations for it, especially when we had paper logs. You'd be tired, you'd forget to sign a log or check a box, and you'd have a DOT officer just waiting to write you a ticket. And Frank O cleared it up for me, or for us. Just like I said, you can drive 11 out of the 14 that you can be on duty. Brian Walton, yeah, I agree with you completely. And I know everybody thinks I'm crazy, but it really is a great place to work. He's been here 6 months and loves it. So he must have started shortly after I did. I started June the 6th. And let's see. Not sure. Yeah, it's good to see you too, John. I was meaning to call you and kind of see how you were doing. Yeah, my talk to speech is always messed up. Okay, I must have missed some comments. Why would you do that? Why would we do what? Well, Joe Adams brings up a good point. You make a lot more money just working for someone. I would say it depends on the person. I've never made more money in my life than what I make right now, and that's the honest truth. And I've had some company drivers with really good jobs that they found out they made about 50% less than me when we put pen to paper and compared numbers. And for example, I've only had one guy that contacted me that I told him, you need to keep doing what you're doing. And he was working for Estes, and he was bringing home 2,300 to 2,500 a week take home. And I said, even if you could make more money here, by the time you pay taxes and everything, you're better off where you're at. But I would say, let's do devil's advocate here. Let's say that you're right, Joe, and let's say that we make the exact same money. 3 years from now, or whatever the term of my lease is, I'm going to have a truck that I could take and sell for $60,000 or $80,000, and you're not. Also, your boss could slip seat you at any time. I don't have to worry about slip seating, or they could move you to another truck. Also, I enjoy a lot more freedom than what you do in most company driver roles. So I'm not knocking you for what you're doing, but I don't necessarily agree. As a matter of fact, I'll come right out and say it. I know for a fact you don't make more money than me as a company driver. And like I said, if we have to compare numbers, we will, but I'd prefer if we could just agree to disagree, and you're happy doing what you're doing and I'm happy doing what I'm doing. Brian Jess says, Joe is annoying. Joe believes what he believes, and that's okay, but I promise you he don't want to compare numbers with me. And I'll guarantee you that I might surprise him. But there's going to be some people, and this is what you guys have to realize, even when you get online and read reviews, there's going to be some people that failed, and they're going to say it's a bad program just because they couldn't do it. And maybe there's a host of reasons. Maybe they had some personal problems at home. Maybe they didn't buy their fuel correctly. Heck, maybe they got a lemon truck. You could get a lemon truck at any company. Maybe they got a bad dispatcher. You could get a bad dispatcher at any company. Maybe it was where they lived or timing. If you leased a truck in 2008 when the market boats were all down, it's very possible that you failed then. It doesn't mean that you're an idiot or that you could never succeed at one or that lease purchase is bad, but it was just wrong place, wrong time. So uh, Joe thinks it's a waste of money, and he's entitled to his opinion. I hope he'll keep watching because for every Joe that's out there that says it's a ripoff and waste of money, we'll have 3 or 4 guys come in here talking about how good they're doing. And so Pablo says, "Hey, Trucker Todd." Hey, Pablo, glad you're here. Let's see here. I've seen some Swift trailers recently that have a logo that says box freight or something like that. Yeah, so on another channel, I got clarification of what that is. You'll see that on some other companies too. I think I've seen it on some JB Hunt trailers, and I've seen it on some Schneider trailers. And it's, from what I understand, some trailer tracking software to where the shippers and the receivers can track the loads more accurately. And so I think it's one of those deals you're going to see it coming to more and more of the trailers over time. Good evening, Lonely Trucker. Thank you for being here. Trucker John. Hey, Todd, would I have to run company for a bit before leasing at Swift? No. If you've got experience and they can verify it, you can usually go straight into a lease, and especially if it's recent experience. If you've been out of the truck for at a period of time, they may want you to go with a trainer. But if you've got 8 years of current verifiable experience, oftentimes you can go straight into a lease here. I did. Many people I know do every week. So it's definitely something you can do. I would suggest that you get with me or somebody you trust that's doing it for advice, because even I call people for advice, and it's nice to, when you have an idea or even a frustration, it's nice to have somebody to call, bounce those ideas off of, and get a second opinion. So if it's an itch that you got, definitely go for it. Try to have you some money saved up in case something bad happens in the beginning. I recommend $5,000, but honestly, the more you can save up before you get started, the better likely chance that you're going to be successful at it. All right, let's see what OTR Vic says. So when you pulled the reefer trailers, did they adjust your pay for pulling a reefer? Yeah, they did. I called them, and my OOC adjusted my pay for the reefer. Otherwise, I wasn't going to pull it, but we didn't fight about it. We didn't argue. I've got a great OOC, and when we get on the phone, it's a real relaxed conversation. I don't think there's ever been a crossword between us. Even if I was upset about something, he's just a calm, laid-back guy, and we was able to work it out. I explained to him the situation, and he offered to pull me off the load because he didn't know it was a reefer load either. And I said, no, I don't mind taking it, but I want reefer pay, and I don't want this to be a regular thing. And he said, okay. And the second time it happened, he realized right away. He said, hey, Todd, I think this is a reefer load. You want me to pull it off of you? And before I'd even picked it up or got there or anything, I said, no, I'm trying to get home. Go ahead and leave it on me. So the key is just to communicate and have reasonable expectations. If you just tell them what you're willing to do and not willing to do, they try their best to work with you. And while I don't want to pull a reefer all the time, I don't mind doing it on an occasion to help them out if it also helps me out in the process. Let's see who else we got. Trucker John. I pulled Swift dry van when I was with Knight. That was after the merger. Yeah, I don't know about that side of it. I know Knight's lease purchase is a little different than Swift's, and I don't know if Swift's lease purchase will eventually become more like Knight's, or Knight's will eventually become more like Swift's, or if they'll keep them like they are. But again, especially the last 3 years, I would encourage you to take another look at them. And another thing you can do Just stop in the fuel island when you're getting fuel. If you see a Swift truck there, walk over and ask them. If they don't have a Swift sticker on the door or above the cab, they're probably an owner operator or doing a lease purchase. Just ask them about their experience, or continue coming in my videos. We got a lot of guys in here. Many of them will give you their emails. They're willing to talk to you, or you can email me. I'll talk to you and hear it from several people. There's a lot of people doing good here, and those that are struggling, I really want to help you guys. If you're struggling, I really want to help you. There's nothing I hate more than somebody calling me after they've already quit, and I didn't even know they were upset, and I might could have helped them if I had known. So let's see what John says. Thanks for the fuel card info. I have just got mine recently, used it twice, and saved a little over $30. You will actually save a lot more than that. I have a lot of times I save over $100 on a fill up. And so some of it depends on timing, some of it depends what part of the country you're in, but I'm glad you're enjoying the fuel card. For the rest of you that don't have the fuel card, there's a link in the description for this live stream and in most of my videos. It takes $100 to get started. It's basically the simplest way to explain it. It's a prepaid fuel card that you put money on, and then it's an EFS card, and you save on fuel. They have 2 apps that you use to figure out what you'll save at the fuel stops, and you can also use it for maintenance. At one of the major truck stop chains, you have unlimited free showers. You get 3 points per gallon that you fuel there, and you got unlimited drink refills. So it's definitely a good fuel card with a lot of benefits. They also offer tax services, insurance services, so they're kind of a one-stop shop. When you click that link in my description, it takes you to a landing page that's really cool because it even says Trucker Todd on it. And you just answer 4 or 5 questions. It takes them a couple of days, and then they'll call you back and answer all your questions and help you get set up if you want to do it. The other great thing about those guys is there's no pressure. If you call them and you hear what their spiel is, and you say, hey, I want to talk to my wife, hey, I want to think about it, they're going to say, no problem, let us know what you decide. Call us back if you have any more questions, type of thing. So you don't have to feel pressured or like they're going to do a sales job on you. They're just going to provide you with the information and find out a little about your business and see if it's something that you think would benefit you or not. And so I hope you guys will look into it, even if you decide to go with a different card. My good friend Chris Bollinger is here. Glad to have you, man. It's that voodoo that YouTube does in their algorithm. Yeah, I've got a bunch of people that subscribe that'll just randomly find themselves unsubscribed, and they'll have to click back in. People will comment, and it'll kick their comments out, and I have to go back in and reapprove them like 2 or 3 times for the comments to stick. YouTube does some weird things from time to time, and that's why I say if I don't get back to you in 5 or 6 hours, shoot me another message. Try to get a hold of me another way, because I try to answer every single person that messages me, because I hate when I message a YouTuber and they think they're too big or too busy to answer me back. So you can see in some of my videos earlier this week, I'm sure you can hear it now. I'm losing my voice because I've been on the phone all day helping people. That's just, I enjoy it. I like seeing people's situations turn around, and so that's just kind of the deal on that. This is absolutely true what Midlife says. This was a trick question on orientation at DART, I believe. You can actually be on duty 24 hours a day. You just can't drive until you've had a 10-hour break and you're below the 70-hour mark. So, for example, you could be on duty for 3 days straight, 24 hours, 24 hours, 24 hours. That'd be 72 hours. But you couldn't drive again until after you had a 10-hour break and you was below the 70 for your 8 days. So a lot of people think Oh no, at 14 hours post trip, you could be fueling, you could be doing all those things, but you've got to have a 10-hour break and you've got to be below your 70 hours before you start driving again. Very good point, Midlife. Thank you for bringing that up. And Chris is agreeing with him. And then no company driver makes what I make at Swift, period. Yeah, Chris is another one of those examples. But Chris is one of those guys that he's open minded. He's a hard worker. He's got about James also at any company, not just Swift, because he gets it. He knows what he's got to do to be successful. And I don't have any doubt. You pick the worst company you can think of, and I think Chris would make it there. Now, I think he'll make more at Swift, but he's just got that mindset and that mentality where he's gonna hit the ground running and be a success. And he's a great resource if you guys if you can get in contact with him and he wants to help you. He's got a lot of great information too, or to you, but he's a really good dude and a good friend. My picture went away a few times, so I hope you guys are all still seeing me. You're the person who inspired me to come to Swift, and I did let my recruiter know you got me to come here. That's awesome, Brian. I appreciate that. I really do. And I hope you'll stay in touch and let me know if I can assist you further, because I really do. You know, it does me no good for you guys to come here and fall on your face. I want each and every one of you to do well here. And if talking to you on the phone 10 minutes will make that happen, then I definitely improve on something. Let me know. I'm not too big to take advice or to make change if somebody else has a better way to do something. Well, I just answered that. My average take up, I've got one expensive trucks. We've got guys here that take home around 3,000 a week, 3,200 a week. It just varies from week to week. It's over the road trucking, so it's going to fluctuate some. But a lot of it depends on what you're hauling, where you're going, and how fuel goes and things like that. The one thing I would say, like I told you a minute ago, even if everything is the same, at some point, Chris and I are going to have a truck we could take down to the dealership and sell for 60 or 80,000. Whereas a company driver's never building equity, never going to have anything that they can sell. And also, we've got a whole host of tax deductions available to us. And so, that video that I did about the purchase, I'd encourage you to go back and check that out, because I think it shows the best of both worlds in that video of what you're doing and what we're doing. We're not telling you not to be a company driver. If you're happy doing that, then keep doing that. But we're just saying, if you want a challenge, if you want the potential to make a little more money, there is a way to do it. And it's just a personal decision that everybody's got to make. Exactly. Ken Adair said it better than I did. People need to do what fits them and go down their own road. Exactly. JF saying hi to the guys in here. Yeah, you publish your numbers now. Yeah, you publish your numbers now, but you're not you don't have all the different sources I mentioned where not all your income's showing. If I show my numbers now, I promise you some of my weekly ones are going to be what you make in a month, and it's not fair because that's not all my deductions are in there. So I'm trying to be fair to you. The balloon payment, the way I think about the balloon payment is you're not putting any money down up front, and so the balloon payment is similar to a deferred down payment, and you're still coming out ahead. Why? Let me tell you why. Because 3.5 years from now, 3 years from now, whatever the exact date is that this truck pays off, if I can go buy a 4-year-old Freightliner for less than what my balloon payment is, then I can turn my truck in and go get one. But if I want to pay this truck off, I can pay the balloon payment. And then I've had a 4-year test drive in a truck that I controlled the maintenance on and that I know every little detail about the truck. So there's definitely also, here's another advantage. Say I get 2 years into this lease and I have a family emergency or a medical issue with myself where I need to keep driving. If I have a bank finance truck and that happens, they're still going to want their money. If I have that happen here, I can get out of this lease without having damage to my credit or a collection agency coming after me or things like that. Again, I'm not saying this is for everybody, but for a lot of people, this is a very good option. Dane Silver says, I am company elsewhere. Well, I'm glad you're here either way, man. If you want to say what company it is and discuss it, we can do that. Also, if your company is doing something cool and they want to come on my Tuesday show and tell everybody about it, they're welcome to come on there. Have them email me. We'll set it up. We'll schedule it for a Tuesday that works for them and works for me. We'll get them on and they can tell all about it. For example, if they've got a big sign-on bonus coming up, or if they're giving their drivers a raise or something they're real proud of, if they want to come on and promote it, I'd love to have them on. I'm not going to do any gotcha questions or try to throw them under the bus, but I'm just trying to share information. So talk to your company and tell them to reach out to me. I'd love to talk to them on air if they want to. And of course, we'll talk on the phone prior to doing that. And I'll find out what they've got to offer and things like that. And I'll be fair to them, I promise you. Yeah, exactly. Chris is one of those guys. As I said, he'd be successful anywhere. Chris, on an average week, beats me. Now, admittedly, he works a lot harder than I do. But Chris is a go-getter, and he pays taxes on $3,000 plus a week. I know several weeks where he's called me, hey, I made $3,100 this week. I made $3,200 this week. And that's after everything. I'm trying to switch to the next comment. Dane Silver says, certify your logs guy. Yeah, don't forget to do that. Fortunately, on this Zonar, every time you sign into it, it reminds you to certify your logs, even after a 10-hour break. So it'll say, hey, you've got 3 logs to certify, and it'll make you certify them right then. And it'll actually make you do it several times a day if you're logged out of it. So the Zonar is very good for keeping you certified for sure. Yeah, the certification is similar to assigning your logs in the old paper logs. And it's very important. People don't think about that, but it's the easy way for DOT to get you. Certify your logs, and if it's something you have trouble remembering to do it each time you get out of the truck. You can certify your logs multiple times a day, and I believe the requirement that it has to be done every 24 hours, but there's nothing in the requirements that says you can't do it every 4 hours or every 8 hours. And if you're doing it that often, the odds of you missing it one day is pretty slim. So yeah, definitely do that. Yeah, midlife, I agree. Having a bankroll is important. Also, reading your contract is important. You would be shocked. And at DART, we had a guy, he showed up to orientation. He didn't even have money for food. They had to give him vouchers to eat during orientation. And I know because I helped set that up. And I told him, I said, what are you going to do if you break down on your first trip? You don't have money for a hotel. You don't have money for food. He said, well, I'm going to get an advance. I said, you're just digging a deeper hole. You're going to get an advance. You're going to have, that's not the way to start a business. I know that everybody wants instant gratification. Save up for a few weeks. Get you $5,000 or $7,000. And then if something catastrophic happens, you're covered. I know a guy that his truck burnt to the ground while he was going down the highway in California he had a bankroll, so he went to a hotel. It wasn't a big deal. 2 or 3 days later, he was in a rental truck and he was back at work. Imagine if he had to borrow all that money from the company, how deep of a hole he'd be in. And then his truck, I mean, it's like a 4 or 5 month repair for the truck being burnt to the ground for the insurance company to settle and all of that. It could have been catastrophic if he didn't have any savings. At DART last year, I had 2 breakdowns within just a few months of each other that were 3 weeks long. And I had pretty good savings and it wiped me down pretty low. So even if you have $50,000 saved up, there are situations where it can completely run you out of money. But if you have 50,000, it's less likely to happen. So just save every penny you can, and you'll be glad you did. Let's see. Here's another one. Brian Jess. Agreed, Todd. I'm doing very well here. Going to give the S Corp a try and see what comes of it. My accountant was strongly suggesting it based on my numbers. So see, here's another guy that he's listened to me. He's working with a tax professional and they're looking at his specific situation and they're going to help him make a good decision that's going to end up saving him money in taxes. An S Corp is probably not the answer for everybody, but for this guy's situation, it's probably going to work out well for him. And it sounds like that Brian is business minded, and I just, guys like this are the ones that are going to make it. Even no matter what the economy does, no matter what fuel does, guys like Brian are going to make it because they're bringing professionals in when they need to. They're not bandwagon what they hear on YouTube. He went to his accountant, got good information, and he's making good decisions. So, man, I'm really proud of you, Brian. I hope you'll stay in touch and let me know how it goes. So, yeah, I've quit saying his name in the YouTube videos. He says, I want your OOC too, because he got a lot of phone calls. And I talked to him last week and he said his board was full. But if you go to Oklahoma City Terminal and you walk through the dispatcher section or the OOC section, first of all, let me say 2 things about that. At a lot of companies, there's bulletproof glass between you and them, and you can't get to them. If you want to talk to them, oftentimes they'll come out in the driver's lounge and talk to you. That's not the case at Swift. I can swap my card, go right back to his desk and talk to him face to face. So it's a real friendly environment. He knows me as soon as I walk through the door. He's not like, hey, who are you? What do you want? He usually calls me Todd or Trucker Todd or something like that. But there are good OOCs at every terminal, and some of it's a personality thing. You know, I might think he's great and you might think he's not, but it's just finding somebody that you work well with. And if you're not working well with the one you got, have a conversation with your terminal manager and with your OOC and see if maybe it's just miscommunication that could be fixed, or maybe you need to be squared up with another personality that your personality matches up better with. But yeah, I consider him, you know, if I was out here failing, I'd be blaming him. I'd be saying, oh, my OOC sucks. But if I'm doing good, I've also got to blame him. And I would describe him like a fullback in football. He's running out in front of me, making blocks, taking problems out of the way so I can run through there. And so, yeah, he's definitely a big help. He's definitely a time saver. When I had to get the windshield replaced and the seat repaired, he saved me probably 30 minutes or an hour of time anyway, and took a lot of stress out of the deal. And now I found out today that he worked with the shop and got the part I thought I was going to have to pay for the rain sensing wipers, helped to get that covered under warranty. So I'm not even going to have to pay for that. So having a good OOC in your corner is definitely an advantage. If you're dry van or reefer, it's good to be flexible to pull one or the other at certain times when in a bind or need to get to a different market. Exactly. Yeah, and if you're the kind of guy that they get the reputation, hey, they can count on him, he really don't like to do this, but he'll consider it in the right circumstances, then they're going to try to help you too. I can tell you, the person that handles the middle section, I'm not going to call her name on here, the planning for the middle section of the country. When I called her and said, hey, I've got to be home in a few days and I'm stuck up here, she went to work on it right then and fixed it. But part of that's because she knows that when she needs me, I'm going to come through for her too. So just get that reputation. Don't be, I had one guy at DART that he had 30 states he wouldn't go to. Imagine trying to dispatch somebody that has 30 states they refuse to drive in, and he wanted to be home every weekend. So that guy needs a local job is what he needs. I like traveling around. I like meeting you guys. I like going to all the different terminals. And as long as it's fun, I'm going to keep doing it. And so that's what I'd say about that. Once again, my moderators have left the building. I'm going to have to give some of them a call. Robbie Mead says, I do very well here in the flatbed division. I'm trying to get to Phoenix because I really want to talk to the flatbed division. You'd be amazed how many people contact me asking questions about flatbed. And I don't know enough about it to be real insightful. I interviewed, not on air, but I talked to one flatbedder and his wife that were running team here at Swift. And they gave me a lot of information and I shared it in a video. But I would like to go there, and I want to do the same thing with the reefer division. And I may just go to Phoenix and spend a week out there and try to get you guys that information, because it seems to be a close-knit community in the flatbed division, and I haven't heard any griping, even that they've got a few YouTubers in the flatbed division, and they seem to be doing really well. And so I want to learn more about it so that I can pass that information on to you guys. I'm too old and clumsy to do flatbed myself, but I definitely want to get that information for you guys that might be interested in doing just that. My friend Chris says, fuel card saves about $300 per week on average if used correctly. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say $300 to $350, but yeah, you're pretty close. And again, it depends what part of the country you're in. The card themselves, they say around 55 cents a gallon, but I think Chris will agree with me. You'll see places that's over $1 a gallon. You'll see places that are 20 cents a gallon. It just depends on where you're at. But it's definitely worth the money, and even the small fees that they have. One fill up easily wipes out all those fees, and you're still benefiting from the card. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. I don't know if there's going to be a Friday video. I'm going to let my voice rest unless something breaking happens. It just said I deleted 2 comments and I didn't, Todd. That's I still appreciate you being here, Chris. I can always count on you to show up. I don't know where everybody else is tonight, and I don't know who else is live tonight. They may be on another feed. Charles Thomas, you're awesome and authentic. I like that. I appreciate you, man. I tell you the truth, you guys, and this is the honest truth. I take this pretty seriously, and the reason is that some of you are making financial decisions for your family based on the information you hear here. And so I want you to be successful. I don't want you in a financial bind because you trusted me and I misled you. That's why, and I need to do that again in this video. If I say something and it's wrong or it's misconstrued, I want to go back and correct it, because I really want you guys to do well. More than the money or anything, I like it when I run into you guys in person and y'all thank me and say my videos helped you and stuff like that. Speaking of that, I need to get this correction in here. Earlier in the week, I said that Swift had a walkaway lease. Swift does not consider it a walkaway lease, and let me explain why. A lot of it comes down to definition and how you describe it. The reason they don't consider it a walkaway lease is, yes, you can turn the truck in. They're not going to send a collection agency after you, but they are going to charge you till they release the truck. They are going to charge you for any services or maintenances that are due, and they are going to charge you for any body damage, cleaning, or repossessing the truck that might occur. So if you abandon the truck at a Walmart and they have to go get it, they're going to charge you for that. Now, like I said, they're not going to send a collection agency after you, but what they're going to do is they're going to make a little note, and if you ever want to come back to work here, when you come back, they're going to make you pay it back in payments. So you will get your escrow back. You will get your maintenance account back, minus any of those charges I mentioned that would come out normally. And it's all spelled out in your lease. They do have 45 days to return that money to you. And every lease I've ever seen says the exact same thing about these things. And so there's not anything breaking here. It is a lease you can get out of, but they don't like me using the term walk-away lease. So I hope I cleared that up for you. If you guys got any questions about that, I'd be happy to expand on that. But they did want me to clarify that they don't call it a walk-away lease, but to truck drivers, it's a walk-away lease. Anyway, I've done many a post trip and fueling after my 14 is out. Also, yard move to drop. Yeah, you can do that, like Midlife said. And DART was actually where this came to light. They gave me a logbook violation. This was back in 2013 or 14 because they said I worked past my 14, and I had to go back and show them in the DOT regulations what I did was legal. And then after I did that, they started using me as an example in their orientation classes to explain logbook rules. But I always thought it was funny. And granted, this is 8 years ago. I'm not beating them up over it now. But you expect the safety enforcement people of a company to know logbook rules better than what some of them do. And, well, I could tell you some stories about that company. My friend Dennis, hey, glad you're here, man. Will Swift dart out other companies get you to places you want in the time frame you want to be there as a lease operator? So it's another good question, and the answer is they'll try. So they're not a travel agency per se. So if you say, hey, I want to be in Seattle on this day, I want to be in Miami on this day, I want to be in Buffalo, New York on this day, they're not in the business of being a travel agency. At the same time, you are an independent contractor. You can take your home time anywhere you want, and they want you to be happy, so they're going to do their best to accommodate you. Now, they may get you a drop that's 50 miles away from where you wanted to go, and you might have to deadhead that 50 miles, but they will do their best to do that. And Chris said to Dennis, you book your own loads, you get yourself there. So we're not at that point yet. They're beta testing the load board. I'm beta testing it too. But hopefully that'll be here sooner than later. They're going to be adding about 10 people a week starting next week. There's about 30 of us in there right now. So that's the big advantage to the load board. A lot of people say, well, what's the advantage to the load board? That's it right there. But it comes down to availability. If you want to go to Miami and there's not a load going to Miami, I mean, you might have to take one to Jacksonville and deadhead down, or something like that, or one to Atlanta and then hope something pops up. In other words, you have to take what's there. You can't create stuff that's not there. But the 3 planners and the load board, when you get on it, I actually still use both, even though I have access to the load board. You just got to work with everybody, and they want you to be happy, and they're going to do their best to try to make you happy as much as physically possible. But try to help them out too at the same time. Yeah, that's what I was just talking about. Get on that waiting list, but work with the 3 planners. If you don't have their number, email me and I'll send it to you. And they'll do their best to work with you as much as they possibly can. you guys know freight's super weird right now. So be patient, be understanding, and have a good attitude when you call them, and they'll try their best to accommodate you. Says Midlife says Cheeseman pays for a 34 on the road. Only company I've ever heard to do that. Yeah, that's great. And those are actually the kind of companies I hope we can get on the Tuesday night show, because they've got a lot of, there's a lot of guys that's important to them. And I'm a big Swift guy. I love it here, but I want you guys to be happy. If I can promote a company and you guys can find happiness somewhere else, then I'm okay with that. Oh wow. Robbie Mead said he failed to mention that he's also doing a lease purchase at Swift Flatbed. Man, I'm glad you guys are here. I hope that y'all will keep coming back and chiming in when we get flatbed questions, because without a doubt, you guys know more about it than I do, and you can help me. Uh, you can help me spread the news to people that are curious about that. Problem is, very few empty trucks. Yeah, that's everywhere right now. And from what I'm hearing, in the coming months, excuse me, around June and July, there's going to be a lot more trucks out there. And so hopefully the truck situation will start to improve. And the other side of that, the flip side of that, Trucker's Coach actually put a video out about it. A lot of the new truck orders are starting to go up. So these companies will be trading in their used equipment that they've been hanging on to, and that should make used truck prices start to come down in the coming months. That's where things will get interesting, because if truck prices drop, especially used trucks, do I keep this one or do I go out and buy one at the lower truck rates? And that's something I'll be monitoring very closely, and who knows what I'll do. But that's one thing about trucking. You've got to be flexible. You got to be willing to change your plans and turn on a dime. And so I'm definitely going to be monitoring truck prices, and ultimately I'll do what's best for me. And so automatically when I say that, people say, well, are you going to quit Swift? Absolutely not. I could turn this truck in and I could buy a truck and lease it right back to Swift and keep doing the exact same thing I'm doing, move my insurance over from this truck to another truck, and keep on trucking. I'd probably be down 2 or 3 days at the most. And so I'm definitely going to be monitoring that, and you guys should be too. Dane Silver, Todd, awesome show, but I'm sure you understand, can't let the genie out of the bottle. Yeah, I do understand. I was guilty of that at Roadrunner. I had a triangle set up where I was making really good miles and I was getting home about once a week. And in a few videos, I started talking about what I was doing. Well, suddenly everybody wanted to do it, and I was having trouble staying on my triangle. So I help a lot of guys out here, but I try to do it for their specific situation, and I'm able to because not many of you live in Lubbock. So what's working for me won't work for you, but I can find out where you live, and hopefully I can help you develop something for where you live to where you get what's important to you. I know a guy that he goes home about once every 4 to 6 months, or he used to. He's not driving now. And so some of you would never stay out 4 to 6 months. But then when he went home, he'd stay home for 3 weeks. And so it's some of you need to be home every weekend or every other weekend. And it's possible depending on where you live. Me living in Lubbock, there's probably not a company out there where I could be home every weekend unless I went back to that grocery company where I was home every other day. And they've tried to get me back, but I know nobody believes me, but I really do love what I'm doing here. Thanks, Todd, for your info on this stuff. No problem, man. I'm just glad you're here. When I started these lives, I was nervous that we'd have 4 or 5 people here. I was like, everybody wanted me to do one. I was like, nobody's going to watch it. And I realized 30 is not a lot, and people are going to make fun of me, but I really do appreciate every one of you that's here, even the ones that disagree with me, even the ones that are going to make fun of me, even the ones that tell me I'm stupid. I really appreciate every one of you here. And I hope you'll continue to come back and tell your friends. And I hope we can grow these things, because the better the live videos do and the better the recorded videos do, the more people we can all help. Just like tonight, we've had 3 or 4 Swift flatbedders in here that say they're happy and doing good. So if they're happy and doing good, that means they know how to run their business. That means they have good information they can share with other guys that are either struggling in flatbed or looking to get into it. We need people like that in here, because I don't know everything. I know a lot, but I don't know everything. So when we bring guys in here that know things about things I don't know about, then we all benefit from it. And so I appreciate that. Let's see. Went to Flatbed Swift in OKC tonight. So you're in Oklahoma City tonight? So you're at my home terminal. I was just there a couple of days ago. And man, I wish I could have ran into you when I was there. It's a small terminal, but Johnny's the terminal manager there. He's a great guy. My OOC's there. David out in the shop is awesome. And so if you need anything while you're there, they're a real good facility to deal with. The shop's usually not busy, so you can usually get stuff repaired pretty quickly. And so I really do recommend them if you need them for anything. Let's see, Dennis says, I'm going to be starting a lease after mid-February. I'm up in the air between Swift and Dart. Yeah, I think I've told you in phone calls kind of my thoughts on that. They both have their pros and cons. It really depends. I'm more curious about why you would consider Dart, but it's a personal decision, and I still hope to hear from you whatever you decide to do. So just stay in touch and let me know how that goes. Says you're leaning towards Dart at this point. Okay, what is it about Dart that you like? Let's talk about it. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. You may have said it earlier. I don't remember you saying. When did you get your truck? How long ago? Swift is way to go, making great money. Yeah, you know, I'm sure you've had the same thoughts. I'm driving down the road going, I can't believe I'm driving a Swift truck and I can't believe I like it. I never thought. I left Swift in 2001, started with them in 96. I never in a million years thought when I left in 2001 that I'd ever be coming back to Swift or that I'd ever even consider Swift. And here I am on YouTube talking about them and loving it here. And I've recently, in the past couple of years, I've said I'll never drive a Freightliner. Here I am in a Freightliner liking it. It's that's what I say about being able to change and turn and not being stuck in your old ways. I never thought I would like an automatic, and I've got used to it to where I don't mind it. Sure, there's still times I wish I had a stick, but I've adjusted. I was out of Jonestown, Pennsylvania terminal when I was with them. Have you ever been there and know if they've improved since 2017? I have not been there, but I can tell you that they're refurbishing pretty much all the terminals. So I feel pretty comfortable saying that it's probably been refurbished since you saw it last. But I can tell you with a straight face, I hadn't been there, so I can't tell you. I've had a hard time getting loads out east, and so with this load board, now that I've got access to it, I'm going to be going out east a little more. I love going out west, but the freight is so hit and miss out there right now that I think I want to go east and specifically southeast a lot right now. Jeremy Terry says he's heading to Jonestown right now, so maybe he can update us on one of the next lives about what the Jonestown terminal is like. Yeah, everybody thinks they want to be local, and then after a while they get burnt out. So the problem with being local where I live is you go from making big money to $10 or $15 an hour. there's a company right here in Lubbock that advertises CDL flatbed driver jobs paying $650 a week. And I can't believe anybody would drive a flatbed truck locally for $650 a week. Ryan's having some problems with the kids. He's got to cut out early. All right, man, we'll see you Tuesday. Holler at me this week this weekend if you have any questions or concerns or anything like that. And thanks for coming in tonight. We're going to be wrapping it up pretty soon too. I hate to leave you guys hanging as long as we're getting good questions. So we may go another 15 or 20 minutes and wrap it up. He said, I need to double what I make. Otherwise, I will drown with my situations in life right now. Yeah, it's real hard to know without knowing what you're making right now. But I think I don't know what you're making, so I don't know if you can double it or not. But I'd be happy to talk with that. I know you got my number. Give me a call either later tonight or tomorrow, and I'll be happy to talk to you about it. But I would say anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 a week is possible here on a regular basis. Are there guys making more? Absolutely. Are there guys making less? Absolutely. Some of it depends on your truck. Some of it depends on you. And some of it depends on the company. So it's definitely more risky than being a company driver, though. So keep that in mind. A breakdown could take you down to even less than what you're making now. So there's a lot of factors to consider. But if you don't have $5,000 saved up, I would really think hard about it, because if you're drowning now, a breakdown where you're down for 2 weeks will really drown you. And I don't want you to sink. But there may be some other options. If you want to call me, we'll try to find something. I'm in contact with a lot of companies, and we'll try to find something that works for your situation. Jeremy Terry says he started at Christmas and grossed over 20 for the month. Yeah, and see, I've had months like that, and as a matter of fact, most of my months are like that. But if I come on here and say that, then oh well, it's because you're on YouTube. Swift must be paying you under the table, or oh you're lying, or oh that's not really your settlement. You can make money here, but you got to work it, and you got to run it like a business. I had one guy that called me. He was filling up every morning, regardless of what truck stop he was at or where he was at. So he could have been at the highest place in the area, but if that's where he spent the night, he filled up there the next morning. And once I showed him how to buy fuel, his pay went up like $900 a week. And so that's what I'm saying. If you're just willing to make some small changes, most of you guys, I can help you if you're struggling. And so can these other guys that's doing well. If you see them in the comments saying that they're doing well, ask them if they'll email you or something, or if they'll help you get to where they're at. Especially, if you're in flatbed, talk to a flatbed guy. If you're in dry van, talk to me or somebody you trust and get that help, because we're living in tough times right now. We got to help each other. We need to quit putting each other down and try to figure out how we can help each other. I find that working with planners and CSRs is super effective. My OC is awesome when I need something, but I don't burden him with my daily needs. I enjoy running my business and being hands-on. Yeah, I've talked a little bit about that. My OC is great, but I just use him for certain things, because the problem you have is you don't want to get too many cooks in the kitchen. And when people call me with problems, that's the first thing I usually ask is, who have you talked to about it so far? Because I don't want to call the same people that you've already talked to or things like that. I'm looking for fast results. So yeah, it's the CSRs are great. I called one the other day, and I was going to be at a place about 24 hours early. It was a drop. In my notes, it said it don't drop early, or do not drop it early. It said they'd give you a service failure if you did. So I called the CSR, said, hey, I really need to drop this early. What can we do? She said, oh, I'll move the time so you can drop it early. And so I found a CSR that was super effective. I'll tell you, there's a planner that works at night in Memphis after 5 named Dawn, and she's really good too. I have a hard time getting a hold of her, but because a lot of people use her, but she's really good, easy to work with. And I said I wasn't going to mention any planner names, but Omar's getting promoted, so he can be hard to reach sometimes. But Coretta and Jerry are awesome, and they're both really good if you need help. Now, you may have to leave them a voicemail, and they may have to call you back, but they do their best to try to work with you, and I've had nothing but good experiences with them. He says, Todd, if you'll PM me, I will put you in touch with the best person to talk to. Let's see. I don't know how to really PM you on here. I just started using StreamYard and I'm learning how to do this. My email's in the little ticker at the bottom. It's truckertodd806 at Gmail or 806. Somebody got on to me for that too. Shoot me an email and let me know because I'd really like to talk to those guys and let them know it's not going to be any gotcha questions. I want to put somebody on that knows about the flatbed division so that people can give it some serious consideration if they want to come to Swift and do flatbed. And I'll get them on within the next couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, if they want to come on. I'm here, Todd. It said I deleted those, but obviously you saw those. Yeah, it's okay, man. I have like 6 moderators and I don't know where the rest of them are tonight. Some of them have been emailing me all week. You go on Thursday and then they're not here. Let's see. Somebody sent $5. We're going to get them brought up and then we'll come back. Well, we're from it, a little bit from it. We'll get there. Let's see. Thanks for the idea about how to find out about a company safety record. Can you share other ways to research companies to make a better decision? Yeah, another thing I do is I go read the reviews and I try to find 10 good ones and 10 bad ones. And I basically figure the truth is somewhere in the middle. For example, if you get a lot of comments about them screwing you in payroll or something, or problems with one department or another, usually 1 or 2 is not the case. But if you start seeing a pattern there, then that's something to look at. Chris said, I need to figure out who that is. There it is. RB did $5. I'm trying to bring his comment up and it's not letting me. But he says he's a new CDL holder, accredited truck school, Western Regional Reefer. Well, good deal, man. I hope you get it, and I thank you for the $5 super thanks. And so thank you for that. And as I get better at running this StreamYard, I will post you up there. Hopefully I can do that here in just a few minutes. Yeah, this is what a lot of people don't understand, Chris. The higher price the fuel is in your area, the bigger the discount. I have saved $1.45 off the pump price once at TA. Yep. Exactly, that's true. You've got to be hungry. Like it was in Rocky 3. That's why Mr. T beat him the first time. He wasn't hungry, it got comfortable. And you can get comfortable here, and we've all been guilty of it, but you've got to keep working, and you've got to set goals for yourself and things like that. They want 2 weeks on them too if you leave. I haven't heard that, and I'm not sure if it's in my contract. I'm sure every company wants a 2-week notice. I have not heard that, and I know guys that have turned trucks in without giving a 2-week notice. I know they want you to coordinate with them about where to drop the truck and things like that. I just hope you never get to that point. If you're at the point that you're wanting to quit, I hope you call me or somebody at Swift you trust and at least give them an opportunity to fix it and everything. So many people quit without even the company even knowing they're upset. Thanks, Todd. No problem. Glad you're here, man. I almost quit last week due to not being able to get my home time after a month. They moved it to a month and a half. Yeah, that's a problem. And if that happens, I'd encourage you to call me so we can get somebody else involved. Nobody should be moving your home time. Sure, in a rare instance, there might be times. It's happened to me where I had to move a doctor's appointment where I got there a couple of days late. But nobody should be moving your home time unless you move it or without your consent. And if you start seeing that to be a pattern, call me and let's get some people on the phone and discuss it and see if we can figure out what the problem is. Okay, Demara Lewis says, how much do lease purchase drivers depends on the lease purchase driver. Most of the guys I know that are doing things correctly are taking home 2 to 3 thousand a week, but let's be honest, that's an average. That's top of the bottom, bottom of the top. There's guys here that's making more than that, obviously, and there's guys here that are making less than that. And I've even met guys here that are in the hole. So it it's up to you what you make here, and it's really difficult to tell you what you'll make without knowing you personally. What I can tell you is there's a lot of people at Swift, and there's a lot of people here on YouTube that are willing to help you. And if you're not successful or you're not as successful as you want to be, there's a lot of people that's willing to help you. And having realistic expectations is nice too. I had a guy call me and ask me if he could work 3 days a week and make $3,000 a week. I told him probably not. And I told him same thing about realistic expectations. But you can make a very comfortable living here, and you can work with people that appreciate you and that know you by name. But it's a two-way street. You got to be a good worker, and you got to be a team player sometimes. I mentioned pulling a reefer 3 times and not being real excited about it, but I did it because it was necessary at the time. Yeah, Chris put out some good information. Until you get on the load board, you'll be working with a planner, and even after you get on the load board, there's times that you'll be working with a planner. The load board does not have all of Swift's freight on it. They are incrementally adding freight on there. So if you don't see the load you want, sometimes you call the planner and they can see additional freight that you don't see on the load board. But right now, they're adding about 10 people a week. So you need to get on the waiting list if that's something that you're interested in. Yeah, this is the most important thing. You don't just sit there while they send you a dispatch. The guys that claw and scratch and make the phone calls are the ones that get the miles. The guys that are getting 1,300 miles a week, it's because they park and they sit and they wait till they receive a dispatch. 2 hours before I deliver, I'm making phone calls. Hey, I'm going to be there in 2 hours. What you got? I'd like to go this way. What have you got going this way? They may say nothing. We're looking. They may say, we've got 3 of them. Which one of these do you want? You can also send a macro 30 and they'll send you up to 3 loads available in your area. So you've got to be proactive and you got to take the bull by the horns, and it's your business and you got to treat it as such. And so I hope that helps, but let's see what else. Chris wants to know if Brian is leased at Swift. I believe he said he was a flatbed lease purchase here at Swift. You've seen 2019s as low as 68 to 80. Yeah, but there's the devil's in the details. How are the trucks spec'd? What engines do they have? What's the conditions of the truck? Things like that. So I would say don't focus as much on the price as you do on the truck itself. You can probably find a 2019 for even less than that, but it may be a team truck with a whole lot of miles on it. It may be there may be one with some body damage. Around here, you can find them where they've been ran in the oil field and they're beat to death. Todd has do short haul. No, I do OTR. I go everywhere, and I enjoy it. I really do. Yeah, but the thing you don't realize, he says he's making his company 2K a day. They've got a lot of overhead too. All the office staff, the equipment, the insurance, the liability if there's an accident and a lawsuit. So they're taking a pretty big risk. Your benefits, they're having to pay taxes on you. Uh, so they've got a lot of expense too. I've said many times, I hope Swift makes a fortune off of me because that's job security. I really don't care what Swift makes as long as I'm making a good income as well. And so I know a lot of people get hung up on that, and I can certainly see why you feel that way. But they also have days where they don't make near that either, and they still pay you. Well, the only way you're going to make that money for yourself is if you go and get your own authority. And then you assume a lot more risk, including the possibility and even likelihood that DOT is going to show up at your house at some point and audit your books and your IFTA reporting and everything else. And one fine could totally wipe you out, especially as a small business. So, and then you've got your trailer and the expenses that go with that. And then you're running insurance under your own DOT number, and the insurance can be ridiculously expensive. So I know everybody gets on here and preaches, get your own authority, get your own authority. And I've never said never would I do it, but I'd said I'm not, it's never been a goal of mine to get my own authority. I'm perfectly happy letting the company do what they do and letting me do what I do. I make plenty of money and I can sleep good at night because I don't have all those responsibilities. Yeah, I've answered that question several times. So um, go back and check the video and you can see that. Somebody's asking about gross. And I would encourage you guys to not focus so much on gross and to focus on net. Here's why. Those Russian Chicago companies will put Facebook ads out all day saying that you can gross $10,000 a week. But by the time they get done with all their little fees, you're making $1,500. So you can walk around bragging at the truck stop you made $10,000 that week, but you only netted 1,500, and I'm beating you week after week. So yeah, you figure if you ran 3,000 miles a week, you could do somewhere in the gross range on their slide and pay scale of 5 to 6,000 a week. Maybe some weeks 4,500 to 5,000. But I would encourage you to focus more on the net. And Swift, the way they have their fixed expenses set up, they're a lot cheaper. The truck payments are a lot cheaper than most companies. And so the net is what you really need to be focused on. Let's see what we got here. Jeremy said that's on the flatbed side anyway. Yeah, it's about the same on the dry van side. Was there last night. Maintenance man had to come and open the gate. Sparky Spark. I'm not sure what he's talking about. Where was this at? He says, I didn't quite make it into Elk City due to being oversized and limit on driving restrictions for oversized. Yeah, for what you're doing, there's definitely a lot more things you got to take into consideration when you're trip planning. Yeah, there's a lot of companies, and you guys know I recently called a bunch of companies just to kind of test the waters. There's a lot of companies that just want to get you in a seat. They don't care if you're happy with your decision. You ask them if you can read a contract, and they look at you uh, like you're crazy. They don't want to send you a contract, let you read it. They're like, do you want the truck or not? And there's companies that they tell you you're an independent contractor, And then when you want to go home, they go, oh, no, we require you to stay out 3 weeks. Then you can only go home for 2 days. Or they say, well, you're an independent contractor, but you can only get your truck worked on where we tell you you can. And that's crazy. It's your money. And they, as long as it's an ASE certified shop, they shouldn't care where you get it fixed. But there's a lot of strange stuff going on right now. Guys, Dennis says he made 113 last year before taxes. That's not bad at all for a company driver. And so that would put you at what, about 2,000 a week? I would be tempted to keep doing what you're doing just because you've got benefits and stuff like that. And $2,000 a week is nothing to sneeze at. He says, I'll shout a call tomorrow. Great, man. I look forward to hearing from you. We'll talk to you then. He says, I'm made to succeed. I do have money in the bank. Yeah, I would just encourage you to be careful because it sounds like you got a pretty good company job too. There's Sparky Spark. I was finally able to get his comment up on the screen. I really do appreciate you contributing to the channel. Thank you for being here, man. And I'm sorry it took me so long to get you on screen. I would be really careful about both of these companies, May and Western Express. Those are two companies that receive a ton of scrutiny, and I mean more than the average company in the trucking world. So I'm not saying don't go there, but I'm saying do your research, read a lot of reviews, check their safer score. Like I mentioned, type in the name of the company and write the word safer after it, SAFER, and Google it and read more about those companies. I realize that living in California, your choices are limited, but be very, very careful, especially with those two companies. Again, I'm not saying don't work there, just be careful. I also work as a storyteller tour guide in the summer months. Oh, that's pretty cool. When you call me tomorrow, tell me about that. You've never told me that before. You're right, Todd. Love listening to you. Well, I appreciate that, man. I love having you guys here, and that's the honest truth. RB, I got your comment up there. Thank you so much for the super thanks. New CDL holder, a trucks credited truck school. I think I tried to put your comment up earlier and I couldn't get it to go up. And I want to go back to what Sparky Spark said too. He says he's looking forward to a Cash is King appearance. Yeah, I would love to go on his show, and I'd love to have him on mine at some point. I think he'd be great to interview and would have a lot of great information. He comes in and watches some of my videos and lives, and I've mentioned it in the live that I'd love to have him on. And if you guys want to reach out to him on his channel and tell him you'd like him to do something collaborative with Trucker Todd, I'm sure we could probably set something up in the future. But I'd love to do that at some point, and hopefully we can put that together. He'd be great to have on a Tuesday night. So do you see the other YouTubers on the road at times, and do you talk about getting together and interviewing one another? That's a great question. Occasionally you'll see another YouTuber on the road, and what it comes down to is having a topic that you feel like that you can articulate off of each other. And I'll give you an example. Really big YouTubers don't like working with small channels that have, 4,500, 5,000 subscribers, because they don't see the benefit to them. For example, Mother Trucker is probably never going to invite me on his show. And at the same time, people with 100 subscribers like coming on, but they're probably not going to help my channel. So what you'd want to find in most cases is somebody about the same size as you that that maybe their audience isn't familiar with you or your audience isn't familiar with them, and you could put out content that people would want to watch. and some of it's personalities. If you think that you could make it interesting working together, but I've said, and I stand by it, I'll entertain working with any YouTuber if we can put something together, and they're free to email me and we'll talk about it. Um, I may bring. There's a couple of YouTubers over at Dart that I know and not frequently, occasionally have contact with, and I may bring them on at some point. They still watch my videos. One of them recently made a real nice video about me, and so I may bring them on at some point. And he goes to a lot of Planet Fitnesses and works out and does a lot of dieting and financial planning and stuff like that. And so I may bring him on at some point and see if I think my truck's about to start. I'll just kill the. I may bring him on at some point and we'll talk about that. I've got to get in contact with him and see if that's something that he would even want to do. Okay, RB says he's looking for recommendations besides Swift. I definitely can help you with that, but I got to know what you're looking for. And we can do it here in the comments, or you can email me and I'll give you my phone number and we can discuss it privately. You guys know I think Swift's a great option, but it's not for everybody. If you're looking for something else, I'll try to help you find it. Obviously, my knowledge on flatbed's going to be much more limited, but I'll be happy to try to help you if you want to contact me or put me something in the comments. That's very true. Frank's right. If you know your numbers and get your mile per gallon up, you can profit from the fuel surcharge. Hirschbach always brags about their 99 cent fuel, but there's a lot of asterisks that go with that. And here, if you just manage your truck well, you're doing a lot better than 99 cents a gallon. You can get your fuel for free or even profit off of it, especially if you're getting over 8 miles a gallon. So Brian Jess says he's going to bed. Been running a split sleeper for the last 2 days to maximize his miles into a 34. Glad I could be here live tonight, but always watch when I can't be live. Yes, sir. Thank you for being here, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for stopping by. We're going to be wrapping up soon. I just want to get to everybody that I can. Dennis is going to bed also. Demira Lewis says thanks. Yeah, thank you, man. Now, I don't know if it's true, but one of the guys I still talk to at Roadrunner said that they're no longer doing lease purchase for solo drivers. And so if you've got your own truck, I guess that's a company you could consider. You can go back and watch my videos about my experiences there. But keep in mind, that was several years ago. They even have a different CEO now. So things could have changed, or president, or whatever his title is. They may have changed some things since I was there, but they get their trucks through TEL, and I don't like TEL for several reasons. Especially they require you to use ATBS. You can't use your accountant that you want to use, and I don't like them being that deep in my finances. Yes, so there is ways to do that here. It's called trip leasing. There's some requirements you have to meet as far as insurance and things like that. And so I would encourage you, when you get ready to do that, talk to Michelle about it or talk to Rapid Response about it, and they can walk you through the steps about how to do that. So he says he's calling dispatch at least a day before his drops. Yeah, that's a great idea. Sometimes they don't like to book that far out, and sometimes they will. But it doesn't hurt to kind of get your name in the hat, so to speak. Yeah, I would agree with that. You know, people are so quick to blame the company. The company screwed me and all of that. And I'm shocked at how many people don't read their contract. And I'm like, you read the contract and you thought it was a good deal at the time, and now you're saying it's the company screwing you. People are so reluctant to take personal responsibility and you've got to. It's sure things happen, trucks break, things like that, but um, point your finger at yourself before you start pointing it at others if you're struggling. And let's look at your settlements. Let's look at your situation and let's see how we can get you more profitable. And Jeremy agrees with Robbie. That's good. Looks like Dennis agrees. You can definitely do that, especially at Swift. I mean, they've got a large freight base, and you, yeah, you're going to have a hard time driving to Hawaii, but and Alaska, you got to go through Canada, but you can definitely hit all the states if that's something you want to do. Looks like Sparky Spark just hit Jonestown. Hey, can you give us an update on that terminal there? Some guys were asking about it earlier. So Brian Walton, it looks like he's going company at Swift. That's good to have you here. You'll be able to answer a lot of questions for guys as well. Yeah, and I would encourage you to ask the Nathan said he's about to complete his lease purchase at another company and he's thinking about bringing it to Swift. Ask Michelle when you call in, because for a while they were paying a sign-on bonus for guys that already had their own truck. I don't know if they're still doing it, and it was like $5,000. So you may have some extra money coming to you if you bring your truck to Swift when you're able to. Just one more thing to look into for sure. Yeah, that's been my experience too. You get these guys that say, "Oh, you're just a glorified company driver," and I realize that most companies that's the way it is, but here you really feel like a business partner and like you're in the decision making process. Dennis says, "I'm not good at editing, but I have something to offer any YouTube channel." Well, I think that I've proven you don't have to be good at editing to have a YouTube channel. So if you want to start one, man, I wish you the best. And I hope it goes well for you. Don't expect a lot in the beginning. It's a grind and a slow process. But if you stay after it and you're persistent and you keep putting out good content, the people will come. And he says, let's see what else. I'm going to skip through some of these comments due to the constraints of time. So tomorrow I'm still at the house, so I'll be at home. I'm going to start looking for loads for tomorrow, but I'm waiting for my computer to get out of the shop. My laptop had some issues and it's back in the shop after I just got it out of the shop. I still have the tire socks. Gregory's asking. I have not moved them to this truck yet, just because I've got tire chains in here which I'll never use, and I've only used the tire socks a couple of times to say that I've used them. But it's I do still have them, and I'm going to transfer them to this truck at some point. Sparky Spark says it's a well organized yard up there. Is have they refurbished the driver facilities yet? Do you know about that? So he says uh, shower knob doesn't go warm like it should have worked. It and laundry dryer is squeaking. Well, that's a little disappointing. I'd encourage you to go on the Engage app and do a voice your choice for that terminal and tell them those things, because I know they do look at that stuff. And if they see that those things are giving problems, then they'll get them addressed. Now, I realize that they should know these things, but when you kind of put it out there like that, more people see it and it'll get taken care of quicker. Yeah, sure. Tomorrow when you call me, we'll go through it. Well, I appreciate that. I'm going to give you my honest opinion. That's all I can do. But we'll look at your situation and try to figure something out for you. All right, folks, we've been going for 2 hours and 10 minutes. This is the longest live we've ever done. And Tuesday we'll be back. I think I've got a really good guest for Tuesday. And then Thursday we'll be doing In Case You Missed It again. And so, yeah, that's where we'll be with that. Let's see. I've got a couple more comments before we close out. So, are the socks worth the money? Oh, well, if I click the right comment. It depends. If you're buying them just so you can be legal in the States, they're definitely worth the money. If you're buying them so you can use them every week to trog across the snow, then they're probably not worth it. I mean, they're going to wear out over time. They're not going to last as long as chains. They are smaller. You don't have to have a chain rack. They are lighter weight, but they are for temporary use, and I would not use them regularly. I'd use them, in a rare situation or something like that. But if you just want to be legal to run out west, then yeah, they're great for that. So yes, you can, when you're working with your recruiter, suggest that if that's something that's important to you. I would suggest getting a terminal that's in your time zone so that you've got more access to your people while you're working. So, for example, if you live in the central time zone, try to get at a terminal that's in the central time zone. If you live in an eastern time zone, et cetera, et cetera. Work on that. I'll be there chilling. Yes, sir. Have a great night. We'll talk to you later. We really are wrapping this up. I'm bringing a mobile office to Jonestown, so they might be getting ready to upgrade it. Yeah, I know that they're spending millions, and I mean millions, refurbishing these terminals and modernizing them, and they're super nice. And so I just don't know how far they've gotten their progress. I haven't been to that terminal, but it sounds like they're getting ready to make a lot of changes. And I'll be going to see it when they get them done, because a lot of people ask me about that terminal, so I got to go see it. But tonight I'm going to go see the back of my eyelids. So you guys have a great night. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.